Shalom. So today we're going to look at Genesis chapter 2, verses 21 through to 24, right? So in this video, we're going to understand more about the process of the woman, how the woman comes into the picture, right? And also this is going to cause for questioning, meaning we're going to question what we've always believed to gain some understanding, because that's one of our biggest fears sometimes, to question our belief system. You know, when you hold on to something as truth for ever so long, to come back and question it, there's a little fear. And this is why we react with anger sometimes when somebody starts asking us those questions. The very questions that we should have asked ourselves long time ago, right? So we're going to be switching paradigms. We're going to be thinking sometimes in English and then sometimes to the Hebrew, and we're going to see some differences. So this is the book of Genesis, chapter 2 and verse 21. It says, "And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept, and he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof." So in order for us to understand this entire verse, we have to understand two things. Deep sleep, what is the meaning of deep sleep? And we need to understand flesh and ribs, flesh and bone, flesh and ribs. We have to understand these two things, and then we can come back to this, to understanding this verse, right? So first, let's look at deep sleep. Now, the understanding of the Bible goes precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. A lot of us still do not understand what this means, right? Now, it is topic upon topic, context upon context, right? So, for example, if you select this topic, talking about trees, in the context of trees out of the ground. So the topic is trees, the context is out of the ground. If you come over here, the topic is still trees, but it says bring forth fruit every month. You cannot put them together. There's no injunction there, because you cannot connect two things that are unrelated, because these trees over here have no relationship with the ground. No tree that comes out of the ground does not bring forth fruit every month. Fruit doesn't come in a month and ready, ripe, eaten, and then in next month it comes again for 12 months of the year. So these, you cannot relate those things. So when it says precept upon precept, line upon line, we understand that it's topic upon topic and context upon context. So this is why you have to go everywhere and select the right context. So now, deep sleep. We went everywhere and we took all the context, all the different contexts of deep sleep. And we're going to see which one is relating to this subject. So here we have 1 Samuel chapter 26, verse 12. So between the dream state and the waking state, there is a deep sleep. So this is where David, they went and they took everything from the enemy and they couldn't wake up. That's the state of deep sleep. That's one context of deep sleep, right? And you know, even in the medical field, they have it now where they can give you a certain drug or medicine, whatever it is, and they can even open your entire body, perform a surgery, and you're still asleep, have no clue to what just happened, right? And also the robbers, you know, when they come to your house, they can open something and you're there just sleeping, and they can move the entire house, they can move the bed that you're sleeping on, and you're still not awake, right? So we understand that state of deep sleep. Now we have Job chapter 4 and verse 13, as well as Genesis 15 verse 12. This is in the terror of the night with that great fear, right? So this is what it's talking about. Now Proverbs 19 verse 15, there is this laziness that makes you idle. This is a form of deep sleep. You know, some people, every time they come to your house, they want a $10 or $20 or whatever it is, and if you don't have that money, they want a plate of food, something to eat. So that laziness, not wanting to work, will kind of put you into a beggar state, make you want to beg. That's a form of deep sleep. Because if they come to your yard and they see that, oh, the grass needs cutting, they're not gonna say, hey, how about I cut the grass and you give me a $10 or 20? Or how about I take out the garbage and you give me a plate of food? They're not in that state of doing something to get something. So that's a form of deep sleep, right? Now, Isaiah 29 and verse 10, there's this spiritual blindness. That's a form of deep sleep, as mentioned in the book of Romans, chapter 11, right? So we're living in a time now where the serpent is no longer dealing with the woman. Those days are long gone. That has come to its end. Now they're dealing with the rulers, the men, the leaders of congregation, people in position of power, the politicians, those people. This is the era that we're living in now. And this is why it's good to have a praying wife who prays for her husband, or the congregation who also pray for the pastors, the priests, the teachers, whatever you call them, deacons, bishops, whatever you call them, or whatever they call themselves. Pray for the people in positions of power. The black people who are in the political seats, just like back then you had Joseph who went down in Egypt, he was in a political seat. You had Nehemiah, he was a governor, they were in political seats. So it's the same thing today. We're going to have some black people who are sitting in the seats. We have to pray for them, continue to pray for them, right? Because there's a spiritual blindness that rests upon these people in position of power these days, right? So the women are no longer a threat as they were back then when they were in their blindness, right? So that's one context of spiritual blindness. Now, there's one in Job 33 and verse 15 when it talks about the Most High sealing your instructions. So you go to sleep tonight, tomorrow you get up, you're going to look for your cousin who is pregnant, but the instruction was already sealed that you're going to meet a man and he's going to be your husband, you're going to have a child by him, right? So that instruction was sealed. So now we go through all these different contexts and we come back to this passage. Genesis chapter 2 and verse 21, it says, and the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept, and he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. So which one of these contexts would be relating to this? It would be Job 33 verse 15. The instruction is sealed, right? This says, and he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. So a rib is a bone. So when you talk about the bone and the flesh, what is it actually saying? This is a term of saying we're family. You are my bone, you are my flesh, we're family. Just like when they went to David, second Samuel, when they went to David and they said to him, hey, we are thy bone and thy flesh. What are they saying? It wasn't a surgery. Second Samuel chapter 5. Second Samuel chapter 5 and verse 1, it says, then came all the tribes of Israel to David and to Hebron. Hebron is in Judah, and spake, saying, behold, we are thy bone and thy flesh. It's not saying the Most High took some bones out of David and made his people. It's saying we're family, right? We're family. Today we use the term cuz. Cuz as in terms of, hey, family, what's up? Hey, cuz, what's up? Right? So now we understand that the deep sleep is the instructions were sealed, right? So Adam was in that state, that trance, the instruction was sealed into his consciousness, and this he would do tomorrow or whenever, right? So let's come back to Genesis chapter 2 and verse 21. And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept, and he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. So this family was closed right there. Adam had one wife that was closed. That's the family unit right there, right? Verse 22 says, and the rib which the Lord God had taken from man made he a woman and brought her unto the man. Now there are so many things in this one passage, so we're going to deal with them one by one. It says, and the rib which the Lord God had taken from man made he a woman and brought her unto the man. So this is the part where we're going to be looking at things from the English and from the Hebrew. So first, let's deal with this. What is the difference between woman and wife? In the English, there's obviously a difference. A woman is, first, has to be a female. Second, an adult. So an adult female is considered as a woman in English. Now, what is a wife in the English culture? A married woman. Married as in a ring, papers signed, witness, church, all of that, or whatever it is. This is considered a married woman, but it says here in relation to her spouse, which we all can agree. So, for example, Abraham and his wife. So you see, in relation to Abraham, he's considered wife, right? So in relation to the husband, of course, the woman is referred to as a wife. The teacher and his wife, the pastor and his wife. So we can understand this concept here, right? Now, that's a woman and a wife in English. Now, here's the question. What if she's married, has the ring, the paperwork, everything, but she's living in her father's house? Is she still considered a wife? Yes, in the English culture, it's considered a wife because a married is the ring, the paper signed, and so forth. So in English, yes. But in the Hebrew, what is it considered to be when a person is 20 years old and is in her father's house? She's either a daughter, like Sarah in her father's house. Before she went to Tobias, she was Sarah, the daughter of Rachel, right? So in relation to the father, she is a Ba'at. Now, in relation to her age and where she is, whatever it is, right? She is called a damsel. Just like Dinah. She was of a certain age, of course, ready to take on a husband. She was still with her father. She is called a damsel, a Yalda, Bethela, not an Isha. So if you're 20 years, 25 years living in your father's house, you are not an Isha as an unmarried woman. There has to be a husband in the picture, whether you are promised to that person, signed off, or whatever it is, then you can be an Isha. And we're going to go to an experience to validate this point. Because in Hebrew, things are defined by the function. In English, things are defined by the words they put in the dictionary, even if there's no reality to it, right? So let's read this passage one more time. It says, and the rib which the Lord God had taken from man made he a woman and brought her unto the man. So Now we understand the difference between woman slash wife in the English and woman slash wife in Hebrew. Now we understand that. Now let's deal with man and the man, which is going to deal with the aspect of definite article and indefinite article in the English language, right? And again, we're going to use experience to understand this. So we're going to be stepping outside of our English way of thinking a little bit. Now, it says, and the Lord and the rib which the Lord God had taken from man. Man, there's no definite article here, right? It says, made he a woman and brought her unto the man. So now in English language, if you have a marker, a case, a book, etc., you use a because it starts with a consonant. Man, book, marker, pen, those start with consonants. So you can say a, right? Now, what happens when you do not use a definite article, as it says that he taken from man? So now you have man in general, right? As you'd say, human. You have man in general, so this would be the family of the Adamites, right? Now, he took a woman from among the houses of, you have the black man, the red man, the purple man, the brown man, right? Now, he took a woman from among one of these houses of these fathers. So this is why you have man. It says it was taken from man. The problem is that we think when it says taken from man and brought to the man, we're thinking it's the same person. No, it says brought her to the man. This means it's specific. How is it specific? Because it mentioned earlier about Adam. So at first, when it talks about man, man in general, right? Now he mentions about Adam, we know that it's talking about a specific person. So this is why you can go now and add the article the, because now it's something specific. So here you have man, take a woman from one of these houses and brought her unto the man. This means that you already know who the is because it was mentioned that it was Adam. So let's read it one more time. It says, and the rib which the Lord God had taken from man, the family member, the daughter that he took from among these men, the Adamites, right? Whether it be from the house of this one, the house of this one, the house of this one, and the rib which the Lord God had taken from man, made he a woman and brought her unto the man. Where did we see this experience? We saw it with Isaac. When Abraham sent his servant, he said, go, get me a wife of my kindred, get my son a wife of my kindred, right? Do not bring any of the Canaanites, the whoever, other nations. The servant went and took the woman from among man, among the family of Abraham, the tribe, right? And brought her unto the man. Who is the man? My son, Isaac. It's the same experience. You see, the problem is we want to think that this was where woman was created. And then we're trying to find things to supplement that belief system. But hold on. Again, we have to question our beliefs. What did he say about the seventh day? Let's get it. This is Genesis chapter 2. It says, thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the hosts of them, all the hosts, including human. And on the seventh day, God ended his work which he had made. So hold on. The earth was created in 6 days, and everything in the earth, including man, right? Now you get to the seventh day. So if the Most High was taking a bone from the man and forming, creating a woman, then he would still be working. So once you read the beginning of this chapter, you should already know here in your consciousness that no work is being done. So to think that he took some dust, created Adam, mold him into a human being, no. You already read from the first chapter that he created male and female. So did he create the female and the male and female on a certain day and then come back at the seventh day to create another woman called Eve? No. So there is no creation being done here. He's just showing the process of how this man got his wife. It's the same way how Isaac got his wife. You go back to your family's house. Jacob the same. He went to Laban, his uncle, got the daughter there. She became his wife. It's the same process. It's no different from you. You grew up in this neighborhood. You went off to college, wherever. Then you come back to your neighborhood. Now that you're done with college, you come back to the neighborhood and you take on to a woman from the same community, from such and such house. She's now your wife. There's no difference. There's no difference, right? So let's go back here to Genesis chapter 2 and verse 22. It says, and the rib which the Lord God had taken from man, which now we understand that, okay, from this house, this daughter would come out and she would be to this man a wife, right? It says, made he a woman. Made he a woman. So no, because we see the term made, we're thinking that something was created. No. He's going to understand. The next passage will understand what it means when he says, made he a woman, made he an Isha. Because again, we're thinking in English, a woman, he made a female that's an adult. But is that what it's really saying? It says, and the rib which the Lord God had taken from man in general, made he a woman and brought her unto the man, the specific man, right? Verse 23. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. Now, what does that mean? We already established that bone and flesh is talking about family. This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. This is now family of my family. So, what does that mean? I'm from, let's say, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Judah, right? This is the family. And within this family of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Judah, she is now my wife. I'm creating a family. So this is now the house of Anderson. Me, my wife, the children. This is now the house of Anderson. So this is a family within the family of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Judah. Right? It says, she shall be called woman because. She shall be called woman because. This is the key word, because. You see, in Hebrew, when something is named, it's named based on a function. In English, things are not named like that. It's just named according to how they define it. Right? even if it doesn't carry an experience behind it. So this is why we go to different experiences in the Bible to define what something means for us. She shall be called woman because why should she be called woman? Is it because she's wearing a ring and get some papers and she's living in her father's house? No. She shall be called woman, Isha, because she was taken out of man. So again, while she is in her father's house, she is a ba'at, a daughter. Okay, she's 20 years, finished with school, university, in her father's house, unmarried. Guess what? She's a damsel. She's a Bethela. She's a Yalda, not an Isha. So now this woman is 20 years, just finished college, university, whatever, unmarried. Now she starts going out. She meets this man. Guess what? She's only a ba'at in relation to her father. She's a damsel in relation to her age. Okay, I'm 20, I'm finished with this, I'm marriageable, I'm at a marriageable stage now. She's a damsel, right? But in relation to this man, she is a Isha, a wife. So how is a damsel or a Bethela or a Yalda made a woman? You leave your father's house, which is going to explain in the next passage. It says, let's read it again. She shall be called woman, Isha, because she was taken out of her father's house. Right? Because she was taken out of man, or taken from man. Therefore shall a man, hence, as a result of, let's do it again. I like to use experience. As a result of this woman taken from among her fathers, among her brothers, among her uncles, among her protective system, or her system of providers, and whatever else a wife needs to get, or a daughter, she's taken from that. Guess what? As a result, therefore, shall a man leave his father and his mother, so the man shall do the same. So again, dealing with a married woman in the English culture, you see, the woman can have their wedding ring, the papers, and everything. She's still living with her parents. The man is still living with his parents and is still called a wife. But remember, she shall be called an Isha because, not because you wear the ring, not because you signed the papers, not because you did it in front of two witnesses and the pastor. That's not what means you're called an Isha. You're called an Isha because you were taken from your father's house and now you are cleaving unto this man who also left his father's house. Now you see the problem with the Hebrews, like when you watch their street teaching, they create a more bigger problem because they're supporting the Roman concept of marriage. So that you'll see them talking to young people, 20 years and so forth. They're they don't know better. So when you ask the relation, they're gonna say, "Oh, this is my girlfriend, this is my boyfriend," right? No, they're trying to look down upon that. I said, "No, that's not in the Bible." And dude, this young woman left her father's house. This young man left his father's house. They're paying rent together or whatever, wherever they are. They're staying together. That is a wife. So only thing you need to do is tell them, okay, that you don't use the term for that. That's what the Bible calls wife or marriage. But when you're going to tell them that woman is not yet your wife, you have to do no. The woman is she is called woman Isha because she left her father's house and cleaved to the man. So we have a lot of our Hebrew teachers who I would say compromise because they want to push this Roman agenda, this Roman concept of marriage. Not saying something is wrong with it, but when you're using it to make void the law, that becomes a problem. So don't be telling these young people that, oh, girlfriend is not in the Bible, boyfriend is not in the Bible, you need to go and do this and no. Stop supporting the Roman concept of marriage. If they want to do that, that's optional. But to do it to say that is a biblical marriage, okay, so how were we getting married before the Roman concept of marriage? Before we ever knew about Romans, how were people getting married then? You see, there are customs, there are traditions, but when you're putting these traditions above the law, then that becomes problematic, right? So yes, the woman left her house, the man left his house. They're whether they're paying rent together or whatever they're doing together. That is when she's an isha. So that's the man and his isha, and you have no right to be saying otherwise from that. So even if they call it girlfriend, boyfriend, one thing you need to do is to let them know that's what a biblical marriage is. And then now you continue to tell them about the duties, the man and his role, the woman and his role, in case they don't know that, right? And they can have a prosperous union, right? So he says, therefore, as a result of this woman was already taken from her father's house, therefore shall a man also do the same, leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. So you see, thinking in English can be problematic sometimes in understanding words because the way words are defined in English, it already has its context. It already has its cultural way of thinking. So you see, we get lost with this word woman and wife because in English they are divided. So this woman wears a ring. She's a married woman. This woman doesn't wear a ring. She's just a woman, but she's not a wife. That's what the English does. It separates what the Most High did not separate. But in the Hebrew, whether you wear a ring or you don't wear a ring, as long as you left your father's house and cleave together and doing the duties of the marriage, that is a wife, right? So that's how you are made a woman. That's how you are made an Isha. You live in your father's house. And this is why in the law, when it says if a woman is espoused or promised or betrothed to a man, right? So, for example, when the servant of Abraham was going back with the woman for Isaac, if a man had found her and laid with her, guess what? It would be considered adultery because even though she hasn't yet met Isaac, guess what? She would still be promised to, and according to the law, that man would be stoned to death if that man forced himself on her. So yes, she shall be called woman because. So once you leave your father's house and you're going to your husband, any man lays with you in the process, it would be adultery. You see a lot of these movies when they have they're gonna get married tomorrow, and the woman go with her girlfriends here, the man go with his guy friends here, and they do whatever, right? Even though they're not yet married, it's tomorrow gonna be the wedding. Guess what? Whatever she does is still considered adultery because she's a married woman, even if she has not yet laid with the man, but she was already promised to the man. So all those things that they do in this Roman concept of marriage, those are unbiblical. I'm not saying that's something legal, but a lot of women They want to take their women to get, the strip dance and those type of things because, oh, it's your last night before your wedding, so you can. No, you are still bound by the laws of the union once you're promised to the man. Shalom.